Good morning, viewers. Welcome to the Collapse of Illusions, an exciting conversation with none other than Mr. LC Singh. We are going to start by letting him introduce himself, and then I'll introduce myself. LC?
Thank you, Kiran. So my name is LC Singh, often called LC in my circle. And this journey actually of the feeling of illusions happened somewhere in childhood when I was 7, 8. And in a remote village when I used to look at the stars and minded there was no electricity in the village. That helped, no pollution. So very clear sky. Often I used to wonder, but also I used to wonder that the entire creation will remain, but what will happen to me because I have a limited life. And that used to actually have that feeling of shudderness. I used to shudder at the thought that I won't be there, but this will outlast me and I will have no real full stop. And that used to disturb me. So the death itself was a continuum of extinction almost of mine, and that was disturbing. The journey started from there, and then as I grew up, I started finding the answers in the teachings of philosophers and godmen and all the books I could find on existentialism and wherever whoever claimed that he had anything to do or he could answer me, I found. But finally, I think I settled with the idea that after studying science and philosophers and all the spiritualists, I found, I think, my own answers, that which has settled me, and that's what I share in the book. So that's called
Fabulous. Thanks, LC.
Collapse of
He
Illusions.
has not used some of the big words he used to use with me, like epistemology and ontology. So that, because today's talk is everything about his thoughts, which are extremely original, extremely creative. By the way, my name is Kiran Khalap. My journey also started when I was close to 15 or 16. By age 17, I had read all the philosophy I could lay my hands on. Immanuel Kant, Jean-Paul Sartre, Heidegger, also the Upanishads, and obviously understood nothing. Till I read J. Krishnamurti, and that is when there was a shift in my understanding of some of this entire inquiry into what is reality, what is truth. Some call it the direct path, some call it the via negativa, whatever that name is, doesn't matter. That was the inflection point for me. And I ended up meeting LC in 1991. We worked together. And in 99, when he launched his own business, Wonder of Wonders, the launch video had a soundtrack based on one of the most famous shlokas of India. It was a shloka called Nirvana Shatakam or Atma Shatakam by Adi Shankaracharya. And I'm going to, with your permission, say there are 6 verses. I'm going to say the first verse, and I'll tell you why. So it says, Manobuddhya Ahankara Chittani Naham, Nacha Shrotra Jivve, Nacha Grhana Netri, Nacha Vyoma Bhumir, Na Tejo Na Vayu, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham Shivoham. So the legend is that Adi Shankaracharya had reached Banaras, which again has great relevance to LC's life. And when he reached the place where he was going to stay, knocked on the door, somebody asked him, "Who are you?" And he spontaneously said this entire shloka. The first 4 words of that shloka, Manobuddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham, which is, I'm neither mind, nor intellect, nor ego, nor consciousness, are enough to stop any intelligent human being in their tracks. If I'm neither mind, nor intellect, nor ego, nor consciousness, who the hell am I? We created that audiovisual. That was in year 2000. After that, LC did a version of it, which won an award at Cannes. It's probably the most famous award in advertising. But the reason why I'm mentioning all of this is, from there to now we're suddenly back to a similar expression, which says, what remains when God, time, and self disappear? The collapse of illusion. So LC and I started a relationship with the Nirvana Shatakam, and today we are sitting and discussing something very similar, but written in an extremely original, extremely provocative. And I must admit, I'm a writer. I've done 3 books of fiction, but it's incredibly poetic. You can't miss reading this book. The last thing, Elsie, with your permission, I'm going to say is, who is this book for? He's been very categorical about who this book is for. So I'm going to read out what he's written. Note to the reader. This book does not challenge any faith. It does not aim to disprove, discredit, or replace what you believe. If belief brings you peace, let it be. But if you have ever wondered what remains when belief fades, this book is written for you. So that is a clear description of who this book is most relevant to. If you have belief and still want to read it, welcome. There is no bar on that. So I'm going to start, LC, with, in my mind, there are 3 or 4 themes in this book. So, LC, with your permission, I have detected there are 3 or 4 themes in the book. With your permission, I'm going to start with the theme that is closest to the experiential life of human beings today. And then we'll work backwards to where you have started in your book, right? So let us start with this beautiful thing that you talked about: time, echo time, and action, right? And I thought the one that was most interesting, most relevant to people was the notion of echo time. Because echo time, in your mind, you have this beautiful analogy that it creates the orifice through which time passes. I thought it was brilliant, right? So just do time, echo time, and action, and then I'll come back to echo time.
Okay. Now, echo time, what is echo time? Echo time is essentially echo of your emotions which haven't left you. For whatever reasons, they keep on echoing in your mind. And good memories, bad memories. And if you see you project them in the future,
Right.
Depending on what they are there in your mind. That gives you an impression of time, basically, because there is a future and the past, and the distance in between, basically, the space and time. So what happens is that basically, just imagine you're holding, a mother is holding the child, or a father is holding the child. You're so engrossed in that act that the time disappears. So the example of, imagine a sand orifice falling as time. During those experiences which are transcendental, that means only action, only that moment remains. There's no past, there's no future.
Only here and now.
Right. So then the time has stopped. Time, distance, all disappeared. You and child have disappeared. Only that moment remains, only the moment experience. So the time has stopped. So echo time there is zero. And
Correct.
you have preserved your time,
Correct.
essentially.
Correct.
The presumption is that there's a limited time, like your physical life. There's a limited time given to all of us. Okay? And how we spend, it must be very wisely done.
Right.
Now, this is a moment when you saved the time. But suppose you had a horrible memory of something which is haunting you. That is creating a loop. Every time you remember that, the orifice opens and you spend time. Okay? So the echo time now is being spent every time you think of that.
You use the word
Horrible
leaking.
accident.
It
Leaking,
leaks.
that's right, yeah. So let's say what we call depression, for instance, now, is something or a collection of events which keep on haunting you. They have betrayed you possibly somewhere. And they don't go away unless they're resolved. So in absence of resolution, they keep on haunting you,
Right.
and spending your very precious echo time. Okay? And we'll later explain that what happens if EchoTime is not preserved. And then there is a chemical reactions in body itself acts, and that looping is not only just the time we are talking about, but each chemical that is thrown to cope with that emotion balancing affects long-term your life, physical life itself. So just to give you a proven statistics, that 70% times you or I or the entire population visits a doctor, it is because of some emotional stress you're carrying. So the relevance of the book and the objective of sharing experience and the knowledge which I've gained through the amalgamation of the philosophy, science, biochemistry, chemical engineering that I once studied, and the spirituality, it's very clear that if we want to remain healthy, one of the essential element is that we look at our EchoTime.
Beautiful. So it reminds me of this Australia's only female Nobel laureate, or first female laureate, 2009, Elizabeth Blackburn, I think, who talked about telomeres. You must be knowing about telomeres, that they are the end of the genes which get shortened as we grow older, and when they signal that you should no longer multiply, and that leads to senescence. And she discovered that stress shortens them faster, which is exactly what you're talking about. All the negative emotions are actually
Correct.
affecting us at a genetic level.
Yeah.
So EchoTime is affecting whether you call it anger or fear or shock, all of that is, you're saying that there is a sand clock inside and it is going faster and faster because of that.
Right.
So that's but you also have provided help. You are saying in the book, here are things that can slow it down. Here are things that can pause. You gave the example of mother and child. What else? I, as a normal human being, come to you and say, Elsie, I love this idea of EchoTime, and I understand what you're saying. I can experience it, that there is all these chemicals being released and it's affecting. I've got a neck ache, I've got a backache. What, according to Elsie, is restorative?
I think once you understand or you learn the mechanism, how it works, it's very simple actually, and technology-wise or engineering-wise. It's very difficult to unlearn it.
Okay.
So the idea is, if you can really know, means understand it in the mind, very difficult to unlearn it. I'll give you an example of it now. I used to struggle traveling in the plane, and you understand as a friend that how much traveling I have to do.
Yes.
So every time I travel, when I got down, my face will be red, eyes will be bulging out because of the fear of.
Okay.
Yeah. So once I went deep, a long time back, when I was still struggling to understand that mechanism, and I really thought of that, does it help me getting nervous? And by getting nervous, do I helping myself in any way to prevent the accident which I'm anticipating? Now, this is where I was talking about how the memory, and memory is not just your experience, but everything noise you hear, or the accidents of the aeroplane falling, and that of course is often the news, and not every day millions of planes that travel successfully is not a news.
Correct.
So that news is remembered, and that's echoes in your mind when slight turbulence happens in the plane. So the actual your blood pressure and whatever experiences you are having is actually a thought process.
Right.
You have heard of the stories that when the planes fall, there are generally 100% deaths, generally speaking. So you know that if you die, so that's a memory flash happened inside you. Your orifice of EchoTime opened, and you started draining now, unnecessarily for no purpose, because you're not getting nothing by worrying. And then the actual worry doesn't happen by the recall of memory. It happens because you're projecting that memory. What will happen
in the future
if I die? So actually in that plane, you're less worried about you. You are now worried about your wife, about your children, that you didn't write your will till now. that education of my child, my wife is not earning. Okay, who is going to take care of? I haven't taken any LIC. That thought haunts you now, that you are incomplete, and the fear is not just for you, but for your close ones, who are responsible for you as a continuity of species, which is your primary reason for existence. That's what worries. But once I realized that by all this worrying, I'm only spending EchoTime and gaining not 1% probability of succeeding should the accident happen more than earlier, then I gave up.
Correct.
Now, these days, I'm very happily reading P.G. Woodhouse or even Krishnamurti sometimes, or David Bohm, while others are sweating. So
even if there is turbulence. Correct.
Absolutely,
correct.
So I quite enjoy. It's like free Disney ride.
Yes, I will come back to, there was a very important question. We said, I stopped worrying. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
I think one of the unique things about you is that your sources of inspiration are not just scientific or emotional. You also studied the Natya Shastra in great detail for this thing that you created called Emoscope, which is going to have tremendous relevance in not just technology, but in science, in health science. So when you say that there is this fear, that this fear is actually just a thought projected into the future. I think about what will happen to my wife. I think about what will happen to my children, right? What else does the Natya Shastra say about emotions? Because you told me before we met about a very, very great insight about that Natya Shastra says there are 9 emotions, but you have a very unique take on those 9 emotions.
Yes.
And there are 8 and there is 9. So while we are at fear, why don't you talk about the other 8?
See, in the end, I think connected with the EchoTime is also eco space.
Okay.
Because when the question comes, who am I? Like Raman Maharshi
Correct.
used to ask, and I think that's the most relevant question, comes who am I? So I don't identify actually with my body. And I have not even seen me actually. What you see is the reflection of you in the mirror, that too is reversed.
Correct.
So actually you haven't seen yourself mostly.
Yeah.
Okay, it's what you perceive yourself to be. And that perception is born out of what you think your influences are, how many people like you, how much bank balance, which you somehow count as your influence or feel happy about it, that children can live without you. So that gives you a sort of solace. And your own capability and everything else. So you have perception of yourself, which is a mental model. Okay?
Correct.
Which is what you refer to in your own field as need, want, and aspiration.
Correct.
And generally limited to that. No? And one can live with those. Okay? Some people's aspiration to become spiritual and become anybody, something they have in mind, nirvana, or a billionaire. Between that, they are oscillating. And need is what everyone needs, essentially. Survival being the first, and procreation equally important.
Yes.
Okay, because that's the primary purpose of the species, birth. So that perception of my as a space, if you look at, if I can draw a space around me and call it influence, that wants to continuously increase. Unfortunately, even after reaching the aspiration, so-called, which you might have dreamt earlier, you still continue to gain. Okay. If you are a billionaire, you want to become more billionaire. If you have become spiritually awakened, then you want to spread it out to more and more. Everybody must be awakened.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
So I call that, if you want real peace, I will call that 4th stage, which is ever-expanding desire. It's a kind of desire, basically. I would name it illness.
Okay.
Basically, you don't know when to stop. So the earlier the stop, the better you are for. Your basic need was basically the food, shelter,
Correct.
and family, okay, welfare. Then you wanted air conditioning because temperature was 50 degrees.
Wi-Fi.
So Wi-Fi. So that's a kind of want. And then you wanted aspiration.
Aspiration.
Yeah, three things are important. Beyond that, it's a illness.
Illness.
No.
Yeah.
Can we cut that?
Right.
Okay. Now, imagine that unfortunately we can't cut it. So if you are the space and not the physical body,
Right.
imagine yourself, your entire interaction with anything that you do or happens to you is around the space.
Right.
So anything that cuts your space or perceived to cut your space is your enemy.
Right.
You won't like it, whatever. If somebody gives you that feeling of that he has the potential or she has the potential of increasing my space, then become very
like
dear. Dear. Entire relationships in this world is based on that. And because protecting you, your identity and your entity from the possible any attack on your space, okay, is the fear
Yeah.
you anticipate, basically. Okay, so the entire I'm losing my thought. Sorry, that's you can cut them. Come back.
Just link it back to
The problem is I will go back in the beginning, otherwise which you don't
the
want me
8.
to. Yeah. That's okay as well. अच्छा okay, proper. ठीक है.
No.
Yeah, आप क्वेश्चन कहाँ था वहाँ पे जोड़ो.
You come back to, there was a beautiful thing you talked about the 8 out of nerve rasas mein
I'll
se,
come to that.
you said there are actually 8 and
Yeah,
the
I'll come-
ninth
I'll
one
come-
is
I'll come to
that
that.
from
Sure,
ecospace.
that's where
Because this ecospace, I will
But
come
I have to
it.
define that fear
that
and dialects.
ecospace I'll
Then,
come to the-
so I'll come now. Yeah.
I'll come to ecospace later. Yeah.
Yeah. So the perception of me is not the body; it is that space, imaginary space,
That ecospace.
eco space that I have
Yeah.
in my mind is who I am.
Yeah.
So, for instance, a politician may not have bank balance, which we may accumulate later on, but that wish is there. But that space he thinks is big.
Yeah.
Okay, so they live by ego. Okay, and examples of that we can see it now. So essentially, to protect all that, you are anticipating attacks on those. Okay, that's the fear. So it may not be immediate fear; it's a perceived fear you are fighting for
Yes.
and preparing for. Okay, that gives basically the ingredients for pain. Okay, so the bigger the fear, bigger is your perception of, or bigger the space, or bigger the wish for expanding that space, bigger is your fear to either being stopped or being curtailed. Okay, so the fear acts in dialects in anticipation. So fear is actually, in my mind, the only real emotion.
Okay.
Okay, rest are dialects. It's a manifestation of that fear. So horror.
Sorrow. How is
Sorrow.
also linked to fear?
Okay, so that's what I was talk about. So sorrow is basically clear-cut loss of your space. Okay, so you are mourning essentially loss of the space. Your mind is trying to adjust with it now. So basically, it's fighting that fear, which already have been cut. Okay, you're afraid that your space has been cut, so you're afraid that you are more vulnerable. So therefore, your sorrow, you have to fill it up somehow. That
What
is the
about
sorrow.
bibhatsaras?
So bibhatsaras, basically disgust,
Yes.
is essentially tells you there's something harmful to you. It's not adjustable to your body. So either taste bad, smells bad, and your sensory systems are such designed that they give you a feeling that they are untouchable, and therefore you're disgusted. So almost every surprise, you don't want surprise, anything, So a good surprise is a surprise, but that chemicals I think we can deal later. But understand that it depending on the situation, it changes the shape, the fear.
That's
So much
beautiful.
so
Yeah.
that some of them are anticipating that in order for fear not to appear, they want you to have pleasure. So you dance. Okay.
Beautiful.
So you're dancing so that you keep the fears away. Unfortunately, you can't remain dancing for life. So as soon as you end it, the fear comes back.
What about Shringar Ras?
Right? Everything. That is, in fact, primary. See, the primary Shringar is very, it starts right from sex, okay, physical attraction, to aesthetics.
Yes.
Okay, so it has a full range of what is called Shringar. Again, is attraction that's fulfilling your extinction need so that you don't die. So idea is that you should be, as long as you're capable of creating species, continue doing that. Okay, I'm not entering the question of morality and ethics and all. But the fact is that there is that primary brain, which is reptilian brain, whose entire purpose
Lizard
is
brain,
purpose is only protect themselves. They will attack and kill you if you attack them, and procreate. Okay, and earlier as you move in to the unicellular things, same thing. In fact, the primary job is to replicate. Okay.
I'm going to come to that.
And as you growing up, there is another emotion which slowly starts appearing, which we call real evolution in my mind for the emotion. That's called empathy.
Okay.
Now, empathy
Can I just summarize what you just said? Because it's an incredible insight.
Yes.
So we have this thing of Navrasa, which is in Natya Shastra, probably the oldest treatise on emotion. But what you're saying is actually the root of all of that is fear related to the preservation or destruction of ecospace, correct? So if anything that threatens ecospace, you are going to defend it.
As a consequence of
as
those.
a consequence.
Yes.
So it is underlying practically all other emotions. Is a beautiful. It's a beautiful insight. Okay.
Thank you.
So let's look at the positive now. So you are saying that the evolutionary next step is empathy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you will see in the evolution of species, as the progress has happened, so-called progress, you can see the evidence of the empathy coming up more and more. So for instance, take a cat as a family, very smart family. Even dog as, kind of unit. The wolf and the tiger, giving examples of which we can recognize. These are the two species. Not hyena, which is actually a cat family. Okay, though they resemble dog. So we'll take these two families, very smart families. Why do we keep them home? Because they have empathy. Degree is limited, but they can sense us. They can act according to our. If you are sad, they will do things to appease you, okay, to make you feel good, okay. The cat, very independent animal.
Yes.
But it knew in jungle it was facing extinction because it didn't have the brain like you and I and you, audience. So therefore, it reduced its size, okay, and came in your lap. Now you love it. And even though it does have a retractable kind of claws, but it keeps it fairly inside most probably. So with all the capability, they know how they have evolved and how empathy has helped them now. The same empathy in humans, if you allow it to be seen, is capable of loving the entire humanity. It is our choice that we limit it to communities. So I come from this village. Therefore, anybody coming from this village is dearer to me than coming from another village.
Tribes.
Or coming from this tribe or this language even. Okay, you go to America, there are Maharashtrian associations, North Indian associations, Telugu associations, Tamil associations. Okay, they have never met each other here.
Correct.
But there is something common. They empathize with each other and therefore create. So belonging to certain communities is what is it giving you? It is essentially increasing your space.
Correct.
So the same eco space. So all that is being done to secure yourself. Should I be attacked, I have the community to back me up, even though they may never back you up. But it's a psychological sort of things now. So the empathy has a big role. That's why some of the prophets, always compassionate and empathetic, are referred to All the prophets almost, compassion and forgiveness and the empathy, which is the basically another word for it, is done now. Sometimes the problem is in Navrasa, when you say sad, you could be sad for yourself. But in empathy terms, if you are in trouble, I can be sad for you. So any detection doesn't show that. It has to be seen with the combination of other emotions. Okay, so it's alone you can't differentiate. You can be sad for the community, like Jesus Christ. I'm saying, take the example. I'm taking the mythology at the face value. Okay, so I'm saying his pain is not his pain, but for the entire humanity.
Correct.
And that's why he's worshipped. So the empathy at the peak made you God. Okay, almost in all the gods that is there now. So empathy is the ultimate. I believe that it should evolve. It will evolve. And if humans are struggling with it, it's their bad luck, which means there's a room for another species to appear where it will be able to divide of fear and empathy, because empathy can lead to pure love. And when I say pure love, I'm differentiating from the sexual
Correct.
urge.
Attractiveness, all of that.
And that I've been avoiding that last emotion, which is called ninth emotion, which is peace, Shanta. Now, Shanta, in my understanding, is really not an emotion. It is what left after delayering all the dialects of emotion. Actually your true state is peace. And in Shanta, there's no fear. Therefore, there's no ego. Therefore, there's no separation. Therefore, everything you look at is you, inside you. So you'll be in love with the entire thing you can experience and see. And in my belief, that is the true nature of you. You have to discover it.
Right. So I will come to the beginning of the book in a short while.
Sure.
Before that, so I'm this common person. I've read your book and I love the unbroken thread that I've created this ecospace. That ecospace is threatened. Whenever it is threatened, I have this orifice which is opening up. It is creating this echo in my mind that is leading to my health being affected, all of that. And then you introduce empathy. So I said, look, that sounds good, Mr. Singh. So is there a way for me to cultivate empathy? Is there a way for me to watch empathy grow? Is there a way for me to escape non-empathy? Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, I think if you are getting angry, watch the anger. Why are you getting angry? As soon as you actually start questioning why you are angry, the anger part has disappeared. And if you see most of the mechanisms that are created now, including, some of the top institutions, it's a kind of hypnotism, self-hypnotism. You're repeating some things.
Yes.
What is happening is that the cause which has caused the fear, okay, that is out of your mind now. Now you're repeating something unconnected now.
Correct.
The first thing, it had detached you from that. So there's chance that, that looping of that anger, that the guy abused me, is playing in your mind. And as you are playing it, you're getting more and more angry.
Agitated.
How dare he?
Yes.
I must take some revenge or
Correct.
fix
Absolutely.
him.
Absolutely.
So that's provocating. And with each provocation, to fight that, the body, the brain, is throwing a lot of chemicals in your body.
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
adrenaline and all that. I don't want to go into the specific names.
Yeah.
But they are being sent to your body to fight that now. And while they help you fight, the in long-term effect of them is what I was referring to. They make you go to the doctor 70% times. So it's not good. So you know that anger is not good. Therefore, you want to deflect it now. So deflection are techniques. So meditation, breathing exercises. Now, what do you count? What the hell can happen by counting your breathing? Have you understood ever? One good thing is that more oxygen goes. I can understand that. But counting, what is it? Simple distraction.
Correct.
Basically, I am saying no. Better way is go into the anger. Okay, why did he abuse me? That I'm giving you the cause for empathy now. I must have done something. I must have hurt their eco space. okay, which caused their EchoTime to spend. And therefore, that brain sent chemicals which made them mad. Okay, and therefore he abused me. So what could I have changed? Because that's the only thing you can change. You can change you.
You can't change.
You cannot change the other person.
Yeah.
So that is what has to be seen. If you do that, almost in any emotion, you'll always find that empathy can play a massive role to understand why the other person did or other event happened, that happened to you. And if something is beyond your control, for instance, okay, you're walking down the road, okay, a car and hits you,
Yeah.
okay, I think I've also provided in the brain that you have to live with it. There are some things like scientists are experiencing, okay, right from their quantum fields to the dark energy, dark matter, no explanations. Like spiritualists feel also there's something they can't explain, and philosophers also, they don't need proof anyway, ever.
That is what you meant by belief at the end of
Yes,
belief. Yeah.
correct. So I've referred to specifically, what is left when God, time, and self disappear.
Correct. So would I be right in saying that that act of observing the anger
Yeah,
and the roots of anger, that itself is the doorway to empathy,
right.
right? Because
Absolutely.
if you step away from anger, actually you're not solving. You're just getting better at counting.
Correct. Exactly, yeah. It's a self-hypnotism. So you
Correct.
can reduce the pain,
Correct.
but they will appear again.
Correct.
Yeah.
I use the term the third umpire technique, which is when you ask the third umpire to make a decision, he slows down everything. So if we sit and slow down what
Correct.
made us angry, you will. That is
Yes.
the birth of empathy,
Yeah.
right? Okay. We started by talking about what affects human being, but there is a large part of your book which will have some level of controversy, but we should go there,
Absolutely.
which is from human to humanity, right? This entire idea of ecospace in your mind, you started from abiogenesis. From chemicals came life. And then you have this beautiful discussion about everybody has described what happened, but nobody has described why it happened. Why did that famous gene replicate, which everybody talks about, the selfish gene? So why did the gene create the space? Why did individuality happen? I think it's one of the richest chapters. To me, it was also, I spent the maximum time on trying to understand it because it has many layers. So the human being as of now, I can understand we have got diseases, etc., etc. But in reality, what you're saying is, it is not because of you as a human being. There is something else which started when life started. So can you talk a bit more about life began? Somewhere along the way, it said, I must replicate. Somewhere along the way, it said, I must have space. And then it started defending space. And then I came, and then it was a steady downhill thing for most of us. So why don't you talk about that?
I'll go into the mechanism of how life came. Then we can discuss the cause after that. Go layer by layer, reverse order.
Yeah.
So imagine, the first understanding we must have very clearly that we always talk about there are these galaxies and stars and beautiful nature and all these trees and rocks and Himalayas and so on now. All this beautiful. There's nothing beautiful about it in the origin.
Right.
There was not even what we call chemical. Okay. They were all molecules and particles. Being a student, I understand and I can see it. If I divide myself from my sensory system, then what is it? They're basically electrons. Some places they are collected together. Some places they are scattered. Essentially, that is what space is all about. I'm totally referring to scientific terms.
Yeah. And finally come down to strings and
Right.
yeah.
And then there is, these electrons. So what now is referred to as chemical soup.
Yeah.
is basically a bunch of electrons interacting with each other. And then suddenly they decided to become life. So essentially, that's what the probability of that happening, given that some of them combined together and became lightning and stuck a soup of
Correct.
chemicals,
That's the theory.
right balance of chemical soup, it has infinite kind of time in life, and therefore life happened now. Now, the probability of that, I think I've written the formulation of that, exactly quoted from science, is near impossible.
10 raised to 48,000.
Right. So essentially impossible state. And that's why, that I also, when people say that the possibility of life on another planet, you can put that probability.
Correct.
That miracle happens only once. So if it happened on planet Earth, then chances are that miracle is not going to be replicated. Since it will not be then called miracle. The very definition of miracle once happened, so that's it. So suppose we are blessed now that we are here and this happened in Earth, on the Earth, which later on, Earth itself is not the way Earth is actually. It's again a bunch of electrons interacted with each other and they have combined and they're happy that you are still there by some forces. But the fact is that life was born here. Now, given that, that miracle can happen, lightning came, right soup was there, and life suddenly appeared. Why the hell would it continue to be? It can have a life of, a millisecond.
Microsecond.
It can have microsecond. It can have 1 day. It can have 2 days and die. And should end. The miracle ends.
Correct.
Why did it replicate?
Correct.
That is the question science can't answer. Okay? And by general, any theory, from any of the departments that I mentioned, I couldn't get any explanation from any.
Whether philosophy or spirituality.
No, I couldn't find.
Science,
so I also read, same journey we have gone through, Heidegger, Sartre, Bertrand Russell, Anwar Krishnamurti, and everyone, even Buddha. He very wisely never talked about God or
origin
of the. Let's talk about essentially fear and desire.
Yeah, fear and
essentially
desire.
fear and desire. That's what it's talked about. So that's the origin now. In my mind, therefore, as if that the awareness I'm calling the consciousness. Now I've not used the word consciousness anywhere because I again separate number one. I've not used purposefully any word which has a meaning in your mind already. Because then what happens? Then discussion stops from the book. And you already have an opinion about it.
Yeah.
So I'm not referring to any soul. There is no consciousness.
Correct.
I'm referring to simple awareness. Okay? Which as word as used as you understand awareness. So I'm saying that suppose the entity, the life appeared, got aware of itself.
Okay.
Brilliant. Okay. Now why will you be aware of yourself? That means you separated yourself from the others. Otherwise, how will you be aware? As soon as you are aware, you knew that this is non-aware around me and this is a threat. Okay. And for it to survive, the idea that why did it think that it is aware? Okay. If it is aware, okay, it should have been aware and died. But not only it was aware, it had to be aware that it's going to die. Because why will it otherwise replicate? And because it replicated, that means it was aware of its own death. And it knew that it may last very fraction of seconds, so immediately replicate. So it replicates. Not one, in millions replication.
Correct.
Because it knew possibly that the chance of success is very low. Which gives an impression that it may not have been by, that miracle, but by something else, which in the book I've said that I'm leaving it to your imagination. Okay? But it gives a good ground, to people who advocate design, and it gives a good critique to the scientists, okay, who are anyway now, and by the way, I'm also a scientist, lost between black holes and quantum disappearance of particles.
And
dark matter, dark energy, which constitute 95% and nobody has seen.
Correct.
It sounds worse than the mythologies.
and string theory.
And the string theory, which has 10 dimensions. So all I'm saying, if we had to go the hypothesis I mean, I can believe in any of the
Yeah.
three departments, and that's basically.
So that is the division. That is the awareness that
that new
this is an entity
somehow.
and there is
Yeah,
awareness of something that is not you.
yeah.
That is what is reflected or mirrored in us as human beings, where
Yeah.
he's saying,
So-
this is my ecospace and
And I must protect.
I must protect it.
Right. So that's why that causes the evolution. No? What happens is the primary purpose was just survive. That was the first purpose. Because evolution, and I'm absolutely with Darwin, because that is the only way. Whatever I'm saying, if intervention was there, there's no hand, there's no human being. And we always think of that, after all, but how did we intervene? There's no intervention of that kind. That's a mechanism, and it had to happen that way. As I said, even to survive, because I knew if the entity knew the death is impending, I have to replicate.
Correct.
And as if it was aware that one is not enough, the probability will remain same. I have to be infinite number to survive. Therefore, kept on replicating. If one of them survived, then survival
Correct.
continues.
Greater
now.
chance. Yeah.
So that mechanism absolutely Darwinian. Okay, that fully
No
endorsed. Fully endorsed. Primary purpose was survival. So therefore survival. So physical attack, when the environmental attack, the whatever, the temperatures were high, the whatever.
Yes.
So you are basically fighting and trying to evolve around that. Okay, that was the purpose. But then when stability came and the planet cooled down and things happened now, then the next evolution happened.
Correct.
Saying that it's not enough to protect just myself. Okay, but my children are born, they need to be protected. So I started worrying about my children.
Generation.
The entity I created, my children. I have to worry about that. So in my book, I've also said that when the cells, the unicells, when they replicated, they were all connected, like quantum entangled particles.
Correct.
That means they were in complete communication with each other because there was no fear. They were one. They were all twins, kind of. Each one was whole. Okay, so it's exact replication. Same thing appeared again and again. Okay, but as I became stronger, the fear became
Division.
stronger,
Yeah.
identification became stronger, the communication stopped.
Correct.
So that's what happens now. If we can come into peace movement, we can actually communicate, can look at you and know what you're thinking. But if you are layered with fear, I can't guess.
Yeah.
And that's the separation happens. So separation became complete. Then we thought, okay, even my brother is enemy now because there's a separation. Okay, so how do I protect myself? I need a different brain to work in now. There enters your echo space and echo time. Saying that I have to anticipate based on my previous experience. I must anticipate threats and prepare for it. And hence enters now your what we call emotional brain. Okay, so complication happens now. Unfortunately, even though the third brain appeared much later on, called rational brain,
Neocortex.
but we make very little use of it because advertising gurus like you and many of them, their entire technique is to keep you in the emotional brain because selling happens using
And then
emotion.
emotion.
So the whole idea is to brainwash you, not to think rationally. Okay, very few things happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes happen, but often to take you now the emotional brain so that you're not rational. Politicians, when they give speeches, not on rationality, it is to emotional connect.
Yeah.
Okay, no particular example, but you can see it in front of example. All successful politicians play on the emotions and
Correct.
collect vote.
Yeah. The older brain.
But the fact is that there is a rational brain. I'm appealing to the entire audience. Use your rational brain and see the emotions, how they are killing you, how they are creating all the diseases, and they must be avoided. So therefore, the evolution is very clear. It's going. But if we do not use the rationality, and that's what the book is talking about, takes you through the whole process. If you can see it, okay, then the problem starts getting dissolved. It just disappears. And you can see that I refuse to be now a victim of my fear. Okay, I'll use it to a minimal, which is required. For instance, at Krishnamurti used to refer that if a stone is falling, Okay, I have to get out of the way.
Correct.
Okay, to protect myself, that much fear is required. Okay, if you really see a tiger jumping at you, you better go on the sides.
Yes.
Things like that now. So yeah, that should remain. So what we call the emotions have to be in balance, because in balance they are throwing chemicals enough, but then when ecosystem stops, like love and the empathy, when you are in that state, there are very positive chemicals are thrown to balance those, and they neutralize. So a balance of emotions is the actual solution for remaining healthy mentally, physically, and also with people.
Elsie, I'll come to, there is the end of a book, and there are these 5 dissolutions, which is identity, love, death, time, and creation. We'll come to that. Before that, there is another word which you have consistently used in the book and have explained its relevance in particular dimensions, which is entropy. By itself, I don't know how many people understand the depth of entropy, but as I remember this quote by Arthur Eddington, that famous physicist, who said that in this universe you could have something to that effect. You could have something moving than the speed of light. But if you want to change the law of entropy, you'll have to find another universe. So it is as basic as that. But you have used entropy, the sense of disorder, in human life. That it is something that at a personal level that affects you. It affects you at a tribe or family level, and it affects you at earth level, because the earth also has an entropy limit, and there is an entropy level to the universe. So let's do that word, even though it is not directly connected to what we were speaking till now. But that is something which you have a very rich explanation for.
So before that, I will come to the systems.
Correct.
Living systems model, which each living system is complete in its own. So it has full feedback loop. Okay, something goes out, something comes in, and ever survives, basically. And in my understanding, the entire cosmos is a living system, as every galaxy, every planet, every self-contained thing which can live of its own, and of which we are a part. Some we influenced directly, and they in turn influence us in some way, known, unknown, if we don't know as yet. Some are indeterminate, some is unknowable. Some influence is unknowable. Okay, this is what now science is coming to. Okay, spiritualists, I think, already knew that.
Yes.
And philosophers keep writing books around it, basically. Right? So essentially systems theory explains that. So in my thing, there already has been books and all, basically like Gaia, as Earth as a system itself. And you can see it now, that it has, and each of these systems have their own forces to respond to you, to what you do to them. So forget about, I'm saying big word like entropy. I've used it because I'm also a chemical engineer.
Correct.
And I can't forget, the trauma of understanding entropy as a chemical engineering subject. Yeah. But the fact is that it's a very simple thing, that you cannot undo anything.
Mm-hmm.
Understand the impact of what I've just said. Anything you cannot undo. Nothing can be undone, which means it's our responsibility. Before doing anything, you must know every possible outcome. Consequence of it. And be prepared for it, and then take an action and choose an action. How many times we do that? That's a question we should ask ourselves. So when we talk about karma yoga, I'm just touching the very famous lines from Gita and others. And Gita, actually, if you see, I'm just, or any book actually, which talks about, the work is worship, all that, essentially. It has to be in complete knowledge. Any decision making, any work, any action that you are going to perform, it has to be in complete knowledge. Should not be in sleep state. It cannot be in hypnotic state. You have to be yourself aware, and you have been given all the faculties our rational brain, knowledge, and now we are living in knowledge economies. Every means of knowing things in all possible ways that can be known is available. Okay? So all I'm suggesting, basically, that any action that you take is irreversible. People can say, I forgive you, but you are never forgiven. That is like a crack in the mirror. Mirror cracked, try to join it. You can't join it. You have to be melt again and bring a new mirror. So therefore, any action you take, okay, you cannot undo.
There is no excuse for acting in ignorance.
Absolutely. Now, that arises another question. What is right and what is wrong? Okay.
Morality.
Morality, ethics, whatever you're saying. So I'm saying, in nature, I already told you the rules. Survival, procreation, and protecting in
Yes.
anticipation. That is the religion given on by existentialism. It doesn't differentiate. Some of your natural laws are created on that. Basically, if somebody attacks your existence, your physicality, you can also do the same. And therefore, the law is very lenient on it.
Correct.
As long as you can prove that there was a physical threat on you and so on now. There are also countries and others who look at the emotional kind of tormenting, and even in our own country now, things, laws are coming, all that essentially, based on the same thing of that natural existential laws, okay, or natural laws, what they are referred to, of existence now. So it's very important to be very cautious before acting. Because every act of yours creates a disturbance of the system that you have a belonging with. So let's take, you belong to family. Okay, every day you come at 10 o'clock, shop, bell rings. One day you don't come at 10 o'clock, you come at 11 o'clock. I'm sure your wife will immediately set up an inquiry. What happened? Why?
And the dog.
Where were you? That has disturbed the system. Okay, even though there could be full explanation, but it has stirred. So it's like throwing that stone in a lake. Yeah. One day remain absent from home in the night. Okay, and 2-3 such nights, and you'll have to face the court possibly. So you're causing disturbance by your silence and by saying something, both ways. So whatever you do, you're causing disturbance.
And
That's
you can't
what
undo it. That's the
You
beauty.
cannot undo it, I'm saying. That's why. You cannot undo anything. Relatable example of family, extend it to the earth. You can keep causing pollution. Okay? Even Delhi has limits. Okay? 400, 500, 600.
Correct.
Okay? It will become a gas chamber and it will die. And your larger system, political system, your Earth's reaction, okay? If we as humans can cause enough disturbance in the Earth as a system, as a living system, there's a tolerance for it.
There's a limit.
Yeah. Then it will throw back. And it has nature's forces. It has very simple forces like fire, like water, air. So in my opinion, some of it is that unknown, beyond what you can understand.
Yeah.
But many of them will be actually reactions. Okay, not only to yours, but also what's going on around, basically in other planets and things like that. So they are all happening here now. So then they will take action. Imagine this way now, it also attached with suppose you are a part of, God forbid, part of a mafia group. Okay? Now what happens basically, you betray the mafia. Now which you inform the police. You got fed up with the mafia, inform the police. And the mafia boss came to know now. Now think, where is the morality? From whose point of view? Who was immoral? Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, depending on who you are. If you are a civil, you are very happy. This guy is a Deshbhakt. He is a patriot.
From the boss's point of view?
From the boss's point of view, the betrayal must be shot dead. Because he is threatening the system of mafia. Okay? He is saving this side now. Okay? But this side is too large a system, okay, to make a difference. But he and the mafia, they are in direct conflict, and action is taken directly here. Unless the system, this side, wakes up, understand the importance of that action, or that information she has given is so effective that he is given C plus security or whatever.
Correct.
Okay, and saves him. So now that's why I say there's no absolute morality. It depends on which side of the system you are on.
Correct.
A larger system will take action against your action. Okay? If it is within tolerance limit, you might get a simple
Survive.
warning. Okay, which we keep on getting every day. In every storm, every heat wave, every flooding or what they call badal fatna or cloud burst, basically warning is being given to you. Wake up, humans. If not, one day, there's every chance, like one day dinosaurs ruled the planet. Someday a future species will be discussing that there used to be us sitting and discussing as humans the same thing, and we didn't wake up early.
Beautiful. That, Elsie, that's the best explanation of entropy I ever heard, despite. I'm going to read out for the audience some beautiful. So I don't want to call it spirituality. I think we are not using words which have different resonances. So I'm going to read out. Let me find them. Identity, love, death, time, creation. Beautiful words. So first on identity, what you call yourself is not real in the way you think. It is an echo assembled from memory, sensation, reaction, and the stories you have been told. To believe in a solid identity is to live in illusion. To see through it is not death, it is liberation. Beautiful. You said the most important one was about death, right? Because that's the one that everybody's scared of. We fear death because we believe it ends something essential. But what ends is form. What fades is memory. What dies is only what was never permanent to begin with. You do not disappear, you return. Beautiful. The third one, third dissolution, is love. I'm going to read only the last one, which is so powerful. Love is not the opposite of aloneness. It is proof that we were never truly alone. Fantastic. Time. There is no time. There was no creation. Only appearance and disappearance. And finally, creation. This is the architecture behind what we see, not divine, not random, simply inevitable. Once awareness became intentional. So the world is because you are here. When you are not, there is no world. But the light that saw it all remains without a name, without a need to return. So you're ending with, and I'm going to make you talk about it, Leela. Leela or illusion. I was looking at the root word of illusion, and the root word of illusion is playing. So we are playing with our thoughts, our identity, all of that. So that's where you're ending. There was never anything to lose, nothing to hold, only the play. The Leela, the cosmic dance of creation. So you want to talk about the cosmic dance of creation, and then we'll end with what the book ends with.
I think, only 2 words I have used which I thought were relevant, because one is the beginning cannot happen without a force. So I've used Shakti only once in the book.
Yes.
And it has, it's an abstract of what caused the whole creation. And second, Leela, because again, not a Shastra. Imagine that if it was only peace and this awareness, there can't be Leela. It will be very boring Leela. Okay, there will be
Very
no
placid, yeah.
I mean, the dramatist, the painters will be jobless, basically, without emotion.
So, no Netflix.
Yeah. So the drama is essential for the Leela. And that's why that word I couldn't resist. I wanted to write Leela,
Correct,
the Maya, Leela.
Correct.
And these are fascinating. And I think everyone understands, especially Maya. Maya is the Maya creates the Leela, essentially.
The illusion, yes.
The illusion. But the beauty is that I think we can, using our rational brain, we can dissect and see, and then have witnessed the Leela with the same purpose that was created for,
Beautiful.
without engaging in it, basically. And that's, to me, that is the living.
Yeah.
So engagement without really engaging. So
The screen
detached
on-
attachment.
Correct. The screen on which the pixels play.
Yeah, that's right.
So you remain the screen. Yeah. So let me just, we started by talking about who this book is for. And Elsie has made it quite clear again at the end of the book why the book was written. This book wasn't written to impress, explain, or persuade. It was written to hold a mirror and then quietly step aside. You don't need to become more. You just have to be enough. There is a presence that remains when the noise fades. It doesn't change. It doesn't explain. It simply is. So thank you, Elsie, for this extremely original, thought-provoking, neocortex-provoking book. I am sure it's going to be read by many, many curious people. Anything else you want to tell the audience? Feel free.
Thank you,
This is your
Kiran. It
chance.
was obviously a person of your knowledge and I think depth and wide understanding. A privilege to, I think, for you to read the book and identify those questions and ask me. That's my privilege. And I only urge, the audience that we are here because we wanted to be here. So I am here not because of any other reason, but I wanted to be here. And when I say I, again, I've already explained the nature of I. There's what I call is that idea to be. Just be. And feel connected to everything. I want to be in love with everything that I see. And love is not the reptilian replication thing I'm referring to. You see a plant, you see an animal, you see anything, and you feel that they're part of you. And suddenly you will see a different world. I also do photography, and when I look at even a hill, at a plant, at a shadow, they don't look separate. And when you click a camera, basically you're clicking yourself, that feeling now. You disappear in that act. And whatever you are doing, whatever you do, if you do with the fullest attention, you become the act. The time, that EchoTime I refer to, disappears. So when all work is worship, what work, what deed, what act you are doing, that I explained to you, do not in sleep state, but in full awake state, knowing fully the consequences. But if you act, when you act, be 100% in it. And that will give you the experience of such a depth of living on the planet that every moment that you can connect and forget everything else, you are no more. The object is no more. Only being. That's your true state. Just to be, not to become.
Thank you.
Thank you.